All right, guys, I am back and making a little bit more. So today what I'm making is going to be some Carbquick biscuits. So it comes in a box. You can get this at Walmart, and it is it's more of a low carb, keto friendly type of biscuit making, and there's lots of recipes on the box as well. So I'm just using the recipe that they have there. I cut out the box and save the recipes and the nutrition, all of that. So this one it's Carbquick cheddar cheese biscuits. I'm not using cheddar cheese. I'm going to use mozzarella. But if you've got, some cheddar cheese that you want to do, go ahead and shred that up. So the quick part of it is that you're going to have I got 2 ounces of butter in here. It's going to be cold, so you don't want to melt it because what you're going to do is just like when you're making regular biscuits. You're going to take your flour ingredients. So this is 2 cups of the Carbquick mix, and you're going to mix it in if you've got one of your pastry tools or just 2 knives, and you're just going to break it up in there and take a little bit of elbow grease. And so what happens when you push this, the butter just breaks up. So, and you're gonna do this until your dough, here, I'll show you guys here. So until your dough forms a little bitty crumbs. So you may have to go through and take a knife and scrape that off. I've got my handy dandy Pampered Chef spatula here. So I'm gonna use that instead. And then just keep going through, stirring it around and breaking up those crumbs. Make it into it says a coarse, what does that say? Resembles coarse meal. So it may take a little bit of work, but everything that's good does take work. All right, it looks like it's going around. That's awesome. And just, like I said, just scrape that off periodically, and then just keep mashing around, stirring around, scraping it. Now on here, because it's supposed to, resemble a cheddar cheese biscuit, their seasonings are garlic and salt. So you can add whatever you want. I'm gonna add Pampered Chef's Italian seasoning and a little bit of salt and pepper. Normally, if I was just going to make this just for myself, I would probably make them a little spicy because I love spice. So I'd add some cayenne, or maybe just do Pampered Chef's chili lime seasoning. So I've got a chili lime seasoning here. Now, I am not going to put garlic in it. I love Pampered Chef's black garlic, and I add that to a lot of things. But because I want my husband to be able to eat these, I'm not putting garlic in there. So it looks like it's getting nice and mixed up. This hasn't been, that long. We've only been on here 3.5 minutes. So I'd say this has taken maybe 2.5 to 3 minutes to go through and make that into a coarse crumbs. So I'm going to scrape again. Make sure that I don't have any clumps of butter, and then go ahead and mix that in some more. Now keep in mind when you are baking what kind of butter you're using. So if you've got salted butter, that is going to change the taste of your recipe. So most often things call for unsalted, so unless you're specifically needing some salt in there, we usually go with unsalted. All right, just checking it around. I see some clumps of butter in there. Okay, and see, look, less and less is sticking on my tool here. I bought this a long time ago, and it actually has come in handy when I want to do some baking. So, and then I'm also going to go ahead and heat up my deluxe air fryer from Pampered Chef here. Okay, so I'm going to do custom and then jack that up to 450. Okay, and then it did say to bake it for 8 to 10 minutes. So we're gonna put 10 on there, and it's gonna preheat. Okay, so I've got all crumbled up there. I don't see, it seems like if I do it more and more, some of those, there's clumps in the Carbquick, so those are probably breaking up as well with the tool. All right, so I've got that done, and then the next thing it says is to add the shredded cheese and your seasonings. So I have got a 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese. So this, I did it by weight. You can also use Pampered Chef's measurings on the end. There's 1/4, 1/2, 3/4, and then all the way to the top is the 1. So I'm gonna put in my mozzarella cheese there. Okay. And then it also says the seasoning. So I'm gonna use today some Italian seasonings. For me, it's not gonna matter if I make some biscuits and gravy. I don't care if it's Italian. So, and then I'm gonna put a little bit of salt or pepper. So it says pepper. And put my lid back on there. And then a little bit of salt as well. So we use sea salt. So just a little bit there, not too much, not too much. All right, so then it says to go ahead and blend well. So I'm gonna use my spatula and just mix in all the seasonings. Okay, and then it says mix the heavy cream with the water to equal a 1/2 cup of liquid. So it does have 1/2 cup, it listed as 1/4 and 1/4. So what I did is I just put them both in here. And so pour into the dry mix. So we've already got our dry mix in our big bowl, and we're gonna pour in our liquid 1/4 and 1/4 to make a 1/2. Put that in there. And it says go ahead and mix it around until it makes a dough, but don't overmix it. So we are gonna just stir this around here. It says it makes 10 biscuits. So I went ahead and I calculated the nutrition to have 2 biscuits each, and it is 257 calories and 3 carbs. So that's not a bad carb if I'm gonna make, put just some butter on it, or cream cheese, and that'll add a little carbs, or just a slice of cheese maybe, or then make some cheese and heavy whipping cream, and make some gravy. I made some of that before. All right, so I've got a dough here. Now I'm gonna take my fingers in here and just mix it together to form a dough. It does say then you're gonna lightly grease a cookie sheet. So I'm gonna use my Pampered Chef ones and use some parchment paper. And it says to put in about 1 ounce pieces. So remember, this is gonna make, and it told me not to overdo this, so this is gonna make 10 total biscuits. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna cut this in half. Let me get my handy Pampered Chef. Okay, there we go. So if this makes 10, then we've got 5 and 5, right? Okay, so now cut those in half. So this is 2.5 biscuits, okay? It's a little strange serving, but let's do, so what I'm doing is I'm just approximating and cutting a little corner off. And you can always, because it does say 1 ounce. So here's what I've got going on here. So I cut the big one and just cut a little sliver off and made a piece there. It's approximately the same size as the piece I left. So now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. I'm gonna make them all the same size, so like I said, it may have been easier. This is, you know, trial and error as to how you're gonna get 10 servings out of something. Okay, let me see what I got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so these are gonna be pretty small biscuits, guys. Pretty small biscuits. So I'm looking for the ones that are maybe a little bit bigger in size and steal some from those. And if you guys have any tips on how to do this better, please let me know. I always like ease. So now I've got 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And like I said, it may have been so much easier to take my scale, put it on ounces. So this is about 2 ounces. So this little piece right here is 1.25 ounces. So I think this is definitely going to make way more than that recipe anticipates. That's 1.3 ounces. 1.4, 1.45, 1.4. So these are all about that one's a little bit more. It's 1.7. So there's 1.5. So I'm thinking that this recipe really does not make the same as what it says for 10. Let's see, because most of those are like 1.2, 1.4. Okay. Okay, so now I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and those are all 1.3 ounces. And then you got this. So saying 1 ounce portion sizes for 10 servings is inaccurate. So if you're wanting to make, you know, you can change it up and do, I'm thinking it's gonna make 12 biscuits. So I think I might do that. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna form them in the shape of biscuits, put them on my parchment paper, and then put them in here for the 8 to 10 minutes. I'll show you guys a picture in the comments.